All right. Hello, everybody. We're already laughing over here, June and I. I'm so excited about our conversation, and I'm so excited that you all can join. If you're watching, please give StreamYard permission to use your name. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe to my channel and June's channel because we want to give you the most powerful and insightful information, inspiring and happy to lift you up for your day. So, people, please let us know when where you're joining from, and put your questions up. And if you're watching the replay, go ahead and post the questions also because we're going to be checking back. So, excuse me, everybody. So my guest today is this wise, dynamic, energetic guy that's full of wisdom and light and inspirational stories. So this is Jun Fuchs, as in Foxy June. So June, tell us about tell us about your name. Tell me about what that means. Tell the listeners and about you and what you do.
Well, it's funny because my name, well, June is simple. It's pronounced like the month, but it's without an E because who needs an E, you know? And Fuchs, it's a German name. I grew up in Switzerland, and like my Swiss family, which I have inherited the name from or taken it over from, is Fuchs, and it just translates into fox. And I kind of identify as that because I am a sneaky, sexy fox. And so is everybody who watches this.
I'm going to marry you, so my name could be Mariquita Fox.
That would be hard, wouldn't it? Well, just change it. I think that's possible. A little bit about me.
Oh my gosh, I think I just got rejected, but go ahead.
By what? By who?
By me? Fox of all, by the silver fox. It wasn't that a show? Except you're not silver yet.
No, I'm not silver yet, and I'm not playing in that team.
I know.
No, I'm playing in another team, honey. But that's a story for another day. What does everybody need to know about me that is here, that is listening? So as you know now, my name is June. I am a mental health and mindfulness coach, and I work, same as you, Marquita, with vegans and activists. My mission or my quest on this planet right now, or part of my quest, is to empower as many vegans as I can, and I can do a lot, as many vegans as I can, to really tap into their joy zone, into their inner balance and deeper confidence, so that we can show up as activists with a whole different energy, a whole different presence, a different level of communication and understanding for the other person. But the bigger picture is, I want to help you to make other people vegan faster, right? Like if you're balanced, if you're happy, if you're calm, and if you're in love with life, it becomes easier for you to engage with other people. And that's what I'm here to do as a coach, to help you help yourself so that you can help other people help themselves. And becoming vegan is just a part of helping themselves and all the lovely animals around us, because I'm in it for the animals. I'm an activist. I work with We the Free a lot, since that's one of the only organizations that here in Bali, which is where I live, create events. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me. I'm a vegan, I'm an activist, and I'm a coach for vegan and activists.
Wow, okay. Well, I'm so happy that James Hatterley introduced us from We the Free, right? He said, you got to meet this special guy. So definitely you're doing your part over there in Bali, and I'm doing my part in Atlanta, just like I'm always saying. And we're thankful for, let's say, Jeannie over there in San Francisco that's doing her part, and then we've got Susan in the United Kingdom who's helping the little pigeons, you know, the little green bird sanctuary. That's not right. Little green pigeon sanctuary, and she's a vegan and really doing her part. So when we all come together, then we really can feel that power, because I feel the power from you. And so that's what's really great about you, June, is that inspiration and that energy that you're giving to people, because that's what we need, is someone to uplift. And today we're really going to be talking about a controversial topic, you know, transcending hatred as vegans, and how to move up, how to use that hatred and channel it into a better way and more effective way, because hatred's an emotion and we've all felt it. And so what's our response to hatred, right? That's where, you know, we're at the crossroads, right, in the path, you know, like which way are we going with this hatred, right? Is it going to help the animals or is it going to hurt the animals? What are we going to do? So I'm going to let you give me some thoughts on that.
Oh, I'd love to. And I have a lot on that.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Um, you said it so nicely. It's an emotion, right? And you also said, how can we transcend that emotion in order to help more animals? And there's this one thought that I want to speak out into the activist community out there is like, yes, we're human and yes, we're having emotions, but how many of those do actually need expression when we're active for the animals? How many of those are needed on a or like from a perspective of impact, of inspirational impact? So why am I saying this? I mean, like, the animals are feeling their emotions and they are beyond justified because they're going through hell and death and all of that shit that we don't want them to go through. Um, and of course that triggers our feelings and our emotions, but is it really supportive for the cause to bring our own emotions into the conversations or the activism that we're showing up for or showing up in, right? If it's online, if it's offline, if you're in the forefront, if you're in demonstrations or just everyday conversations, it's all activism. And I did an amazing interview recently for my podcast where we figured out that the most impactful way of activism is the one where you can show up most consistently, because there's nothing worse when you're burning yourself out. And hatred is one of these core emotions that it has a very heavy signature and a heavy frequency, something very blocking and that can pull us down as a human, as an activist, as anything that we embody, basically. So what's the smartest way to work through and transcend an emotion like hatred outside of activism? Because if you're hating on people, they're going to hate back. If you're judging on people, they might judge back or shut down. And that's just simple psychology. You don't need to study psychology to understand that an emotion, you throw it at somebody, it probably mirrors back, or it triggers something inside of them that makes them smaller. And that's not what we want to do. We want to, like, uplift them into vegans, into empowered people. So our emotions in activism versus our emotions processed outside of activism. I think that's one of the main thoughts that I've been having recently, and I wanted to share.
Say that again for us, please,
Mm-hmm.
so we can understand that main thought you just said.
In shorter. Okay. Let me make an example to explain it.
Okay, yeah, make an example, because I know that a lot of people feel very frustrated in this area.
Mm-hmm. So let's say animal rights activist Felipe. If your name is actually Felipe, then don't take it personal. Let's say animal rights activist Felipe. He goes out there, he's pissed as fuck, he's really angry, everyday conversations, mom, dad, family, brother, sister, they're all not vegans. They all don't get it. You're feeling a lot of feelings around hatred, around frustration, around anger, and you're bringing them up, you're throwing them at the people around you, you're creating fight, you're creating a scenario that is frustrating for everybody, misunderstandings, you don't get me, I don't get you, it sucks, right? And that's where I believe the most important thing that we as activists or as vegans, even if you don't consider yourself an activist, as vegans can do is learn to find a different container for these emotions than animal rights activism, right? There's the container, the working field of animal rights activism, and then there's the working field of your own emotions. And these are two separate ones. And we got to realize that. I think that sums it up a bit better, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know that. I mean, we definitely need as many summations here, because I mean, different things hit different people, right? So, yeah, because I feel like a lot of times I hear that, but they deserve to be shamed, or they should feel shame for what they're doing, right? And why should I let them off the hook? Or what can I say to up the, to up what they said, right? And then we get into that competition, right? And then that's so like, I'm right and you're wrong. And but you're right. And then when we feel that anger, where is it going? And like you're saying, that you're separating that. the emotions from the activism, right? And so, what do you recommend as a good way? Like if you're at the family dinner and they're eating meat. Let's just say that you're there, or you're at the family and they're not even eating meat, but you know that they are, and you're getting angry and you're feeling angry and you want to say something, and then what's a good way to calm yourself down so you're not going to be a detriment to this cause, and the cause being change for the world, so that the lines of communication are still open? What can you do when those emotions are just boiling up and you're looking at your mom and you're thinking, what a horrible mom. She's, how can she do this? Other mothers are suffering. So what would you suggest there?
There's three phases, right? There's the before the happening, there's the within the happening, and there's the after the happening. And your question focuses on what's up inside of the happening, right? So let's zoom in on that. Of course, there is things that I recommend doing or gifting yourself with before and after such an engagement. But let's zoom in on you're sitting there and you're cooking as you asked. So you're boiling within, and our breath. I'm like, bitch, you gotta breathe. You gotta breathe. Breathwork is a practice that I teach, and that is a practice that functions as a communicator from your mind to your nervous system. And your nervous system is like the operating center of your body. So every emotion that you're feeling has an effect on your nervous system. If you're feeling anger, your nervous system goes into a certain attack mode. It goes into stress mode, and you're starting maybe to get hotter body temperature. Maybe you're tensing up. Maybe your muscles cramp. Stuff like that are indicators. And there is very simple ways of breathing, like actual breathing patterns that can be applied in such a moment, right? Now, let's say you're in this exact moment and you're about to yell at your mom. If you gift yourself with a moment of breathing slower in that scenario, it will automatically have a response in your nervous system. And this is something a lot of people don't know, because a lot of people just think, oh my gosh, I got to take another breath. I don't want to. I want to explode. I want to like punch the shit out of my mom or whatever. The way I've already been swearing. Is it okay if I swear?
That's okay. Go ahead.
That's okay. Good. It's just a part of my linguist. Thank you. And instead of doing that, we can learn some simple breathing patterns and apply those in the moment that can like calm the nervous system down a bit so we don't have to explode. Now, one very important thing that I want to highlight is if you're feeling anger, it doesn't mean that you have to bypass it or shove it down. I think every emotion is valid, since I believe the universe or God has came up with emotions, and we feel emotions. They're there, they come through, we feel them. I think when we can calm down our system, our body, our mind to an extent that we're able to communicate, I'm feeling this right now, I'm not okay, but no offense taken, this is just how I feel right now, and period. Right? If the people care about you, they care how you feel in this moment. And then from there on, the conversation can go on in a calm state of being, instead of in a triggered, like, oh, he's pissed again at me, or like, oh, it's that again, And when you're able to engage with this calm energy, and with energy, I mean that your nervous system is calm, your brain waves aren't on hyper, they are slowed down as well. This is all theory, by the way, but I think we're all understanding when you're feeling relaxed in your body, these are things that are happening. You have lower brain waves, your nervous system is chilled. In short, you are chilled, you're relaxed. If you manage to accomplish that with breathing, which is one of the most powerful tools, great. Second option, you can't, you're about to explode, you just excuse yourself. Just excuse yourself. You say, hey, I'm feeling a lot of feelings. I don't want to explode. I just need a minute. I'll be back. And then you come back when you did your breathing, or when you calmed down, or when you yelled into a pillow or whatever, I think those are the two options that I want to share today. Yeah.
Those are great options too. And breathing, I mean, because your body responds to that. I mean, it's physically responding, just like when you laugh. Your body's thinking, "Oh, well, I'm happy," right? And if you keep the laughter yoga, if you keep laughing, I mean, you're sending chemicals are changed in your body, and it's going to be easier to laugh the next time. So, I mean, for people that are depressed and sad, start laughing and just be silly. Call a friend and laugh. Go out or even get on a Zoom call and start laughing and being silly, and people start laughing with you, right? I know I was watching one where they were saying, laugh like an old man, right? And laugh like a little kid, to do all these funny things. It was so funny. I found that on YouTube, and I think about that a lot. And our bodies respond. So they respond to the breathing, they respond to the smiling, because when you smile, chemicals are released to calm you. So there's a lot of things that we can learn through science that have been proven. Um, and being able to see people like, I mean, I think this is really important. How to, transcending hatred. How do we transcend the viewpoint we have of people, like not just a meat eater, but how can we transcend into seeing them into something else? What would you say about that? How do we get from here to, stuck on that's a horrible meat eater to this is of someone that is doing a lot of work for the world in different areas?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's this fun sentence that's coming up, and it's cocky, it's really bitchy, it's like, oh, they're just not there yet. um and that's what it is, they're just not there yet. Same as like, I'm not in another place yet, and you're not over there yet, um what really supports me and what I've observed doesn't only support me personally, my emotions and my feelings, but it also supports my impact, is when I started viewing people as in the process to becoming vegan or close to vegan, right? So with every conversation that I have with someone, or every engagement that I do, or every live stream that somebody out there right now is watching and is not vegan yet, like, you don't have to go to hell from me nor from Marquita. I see you as a possible vegan, and I don't want you to change as a person. I don't want that. I simply invite you to tap into compassion and to like discover what it means to you to live compassion or love. Like, does that apply for you to other animals? Does it apply to a chicken the same way it applies to a dog, right? And so I view people as in this process the same way I was in that process, and I'm still in another process, unrelated from veganism, but like, I was vegetarian first, and I know most people that I speak to were vegetarian first, and then at some point they grew closer to the idea of veganism, and then there was just one little drop, or bigger drop, a documentary in most cases, that just made this flip, like, oh my God, never again. And for me, it helps me to see them as about to be vegans, right? And there is a big percentage that is stepping very close to it, as I observe me engaging with them from that point of view. There are some fuck faces out there that never gonna change, and I'm not wasting my energy on them again, because if I can change the lives of animals through helping 5 people become vegan, it's much more effective than fighting with 1 or 2 family members for the rest of my life, losing all my energy. Like, I want to save more animals' lives, huh? So this is, again, like, my emotions. Is it more important to me to help my dad become vegan, or is it more important to me to help 100 other people within a year that I hardly know or don't know to become vegan? What's more important for the animals? Not for me. My emotions would be great when I'm like, Dad, you're finally vegan, thank you, but it will save more animals' lives when those strangers across the street or those neighbors like get more vegan or fully vegan at some point, do the switch. So
Yes.
efficiency again. I went on a little rant there, but I think that's
No,
answering.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head, you know, and especially with the family dynamic is so, I mean, extensive, right? And so why? And it's very easy for them to get us charged and riled up. If we let just put them to the side, right? And not even take it personally, because we're like, oh my gosh, and that's the ego again, right? And just to let the family go and see who is open to it, you know, because it's crucial. I mean, all that energy, we only have a certain amount of energy in the daytime, in our lifetime. And why are we spending it on people that don't want to hear? And that's when we become, we've got to be very intuitive about where these people are and who's open to it. Like you were saying, vegetarian, a lot of people are vegetarian first. And so that's a great road to go. And finding environmentalists, right? That they're already environmentalists. And so maybe they don't know how eating meat infects the environment. So finding people that are already on the road instead of going to the people that aren't at all and just shut down. And so,
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And that
100.
takes awareness. We're not just going out there like shooting madly at, no, we're going to see the target, right? We're going to find the right target. We're not just going to go out there and hope that we hit something. And this is calculated, and calculated in a good sense, with a thought process, not that, oh, I'm going, here's my hatred, and now I'm going to launch it at everybody. And now watch, everybody's going to change after I screamed and cussed them out. I mean, when has that ever worked?
I think there might be some very rare occasion where it works to apply an emotional trigger. Like when somebody is very, very on the edge already and is like, I just need to hear that this is super fucked up again. And I need somebody to be like, yeah, now, like, get it. Come on. Like, you're there, like, get it now. I think that is important. And at the same time, I also want to highlight and value the type of activism that we look at as demonstrations, or like where this is a bit more present, a bit more yang energy. Yang, to explain it, is the engaged, the active energy. Yin is more the submissive, the soft, the relaxed energy. They're also called masculine and feminine energy often. So like, I also want to highlight that yang energy activism is same impactful applied for the right people in the right places than this soft and humble and as you say, researched approach. This like, I'm gonna like find where they're at and guide them into the right direction. It's both very important. But I think what we're talking more about here, as we're talking about transcending hatred, is the conversation and the interactions we're having with the people that are a bit closer to us in our closer circles. So if you're going to demonstrations, keep doing it, please. We got to be visible on the streets as well. Same for queer people, same for any Black movement, same for any movement, environmental movement, vegan movement. They're all interconnected, I find. So we got to be visible, just having visibility is important. Yeah, just wanted to put that out there, because a lot of people think, oh, we shouldn't demonstrate anymore. I get that here and there. Like, oh, you don't think demonstrating is good? Like, no, I'm on the streets as well, like you can see me there and be like, vegan, woo, queer rights.
I'm on the streets too. Yeah, I know what you mean. And then you're right. People respond to different things, I think. But still, when you're doing it, you're not being disrespectful. That's the key, here. It's not, you're not being hateful about it. You're bringing awareness with a punch. You know what I mean? It's calmness with a punch.
Calmness with a punch, awareness with a punch. I'm going to take note of that.
Okay.
That's really cool. Awareness with a punch.
Right. Yes. And so you're not sacrificing anything. And so that's what's another thing that's really important, is to know who you're talking to, right? And know who's the best one to, who hears your message the best, right? Like, okay, let's just say I was a cowboy and now I'm a vegan, right? Maybe my job is to go to those old cowboy friends, right? Because I'd be the ones they would listen to, right? They might not listen to me or you, but that cowboy vegan is going to make the most impact. So knowing who's going to listen to you and where is your role in this, where's your role in this activism movement? Maybe it's not on the streets. Maybe it's writing letters. Maybe you should, be running for Congress or a position in parliament, right? Knowing where you are in this, in this wide circle of activism, And that's really, again, back to the inner work. When we're doing the inner work, we can calm ourselves. We don't take things personally. We can walk away. And that's what you're showing people with your coaching. And that's what I'm doing too, showing people how to tune back into themselves. So you get up, you're resilient. You don't stay down and angry and just stuck on that speed bump of anger. And now I'm quitting or nobody's going to change. I hear that all the time. Nothing's changing. I feel like nothing's changing. What do you say to that? I want to hear you inspire me about how things are changing because I know I saw that all morning. Nothing's changing.
Nothing's changing and everything's changing all the time. So I'm like regardless where we put our attention, we're going to get a pinch of both or a truckload of both, I'm tempted to say focus on what's changing because that is a very motivating factor, like follow some people online that you see they share when changes are happening instead of people that only post the slaughter and the slaughter and the slaughter of animals. I'm tempted to say that, and I already said it, so duh. At the same time, though, I also find, as you use the word resilience, I find that when we're living in a world where both of these things can rain down on us, and with raining down, I mean through any kind of media, social media, a digital newspaper, an analog newspaper. Does anybody still read those? Put in the comments if you still read like normal newspapers. Like here in Bali, we don't have a lot of them. But
yes, go ahead.
I mean, tend to put the attention towards where the success is happening and let that success empower you and motivate you. That's the main thing. At the same time, though, I think it's very important that we are facing it with a sober perspective on the realistic point of view where there's still a lot of work done. And that's where I really want to like do my magic. And I know that you're also doing your magic to get people to a point where they're resilient and they are capable of generating motivation regardless of, oh, that shit happened again. Oh, nothing's changing. Oh, there's still, oh, fuck. And then that died again. And then here another cheese shop opened or whatever, So I think finding that strong balance of leaning towards letting yourself be inspired by the positive changes, but also growing resilience. And that's where we're doing the inner work, where we're learning how to regulate nervous system, how to meditate, how to breathe, how to whatever it incorporates, subconscious work, body work, yoga, whatever you want to practice. There's a whole range out there. We both can introduce you to most of those things. And finding this silver lining, between those, I think that's the gem of it. Because when you are speaking to a non-vegan all of the suddenly, and you're in this high of, oh my God, everything is going great, and there's so much pro-vegan movement, which there is, and then you're speaking to a non-vegan again, it's going to be like a, oh fuck, or like more of a, oh my God, like, dude, like, vegan cheese shop here, new vegan restaurant there, and you're still going to get your steak, then you're getting in that mood again. So building that resilience that doesn't kick you out of your steadiness. I think that's the key. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the place from that we have the most power. It's when we are calm, just like Earthling Ed. He's very calm. He doesn't feel like, like, oh my God, I just failed. I think that's what we got to let go of, this need to change immediately. I mean, this is a lifelong process, right? And once you, like you're saying, if we see them as people that are on the journey, because we were on a journey and you were on the journey as you were vegetarian first, and so was I, and so were many people. I mean, so they could be pre-vegetarian, right? So we've got to remember that too. Are they pre-vegetarian? Are they pre-vegan? Where are they on this journey? And we might think we know what they're thinking, but the fact is we don't know what they're thinking. We don't know what an impact we had on them. So it's really nice to be compassionate to ourselves. And that's something we could talk about right now. And if anybody's got any comments, please let us know you're here. But so transcending hatred towards other people, right? Where does that start with first? Transcending hatred to ourselves. How does that, what's the role in that? You know, when if you've got a lot of hatred towards yourself, how does that affect how you see other people?
If you're a judgmental asshole towards yourself, it's very easy to be one to others. Simple as that. And the good news, though, is like we can start removing that. And very often, and for most of us, these judgmental or these hatred thoughts are implanted into our beliefs from childhood, from growing up, from parents, from teachers, from being bullied at school for whatever reason, And this is where these messages have been implanted and became voices in our mind. I compare the mind often to a radio station that plays voices 24/7, even when you're dreaming. It's
Right,
like they're
right.
playing like different channels, and these channels have been programmed, and our mind has been programmed to receive these messages and play them. And I think when we're stuck in this loop, and most people aren't aware of that, right? That's where the power of having a coach or a mentor can really help you become aware and work through that. But most people aren't aware of, they have these repetitive radio programs that are playing in their mind, and their mind defines what their actions in life are. So they're just following these hatred programs or these judgment programs, and they are usually sourced from a judgment that has been from someone to us and then became from us to us. And then, because we hate that we judge ourselves, interesting, this Bible. We hate that we judge ourselves, so we start judging other people because we think they judge us as well. And then it's like a book full of judgment, and the pages are just copy and pasting themselves, So getting in there, getting into that subconscious part of the mind, finding the source of this program. Like, I have some amazing examples, which I love to share with clients that I worked with that came out of a subconscious session. And they were like, holy fuck, in every relationship, I've been looking for the love of my mom. And I've been attracting that with a hatred because I've never received it in the way that I wanted. So every time when that new man came into my life, somehow it didn't, I was pissed. I felt hatred. I felt anger, and that was this connection that wasn't discovered yet. So there's a lot of those things that also apply to our life as vegans interacting with non-vegans or not yet vegans, right? Yeah, these are some thoughts on that. Did I answer the question? I kind of got lost there.
You did, and there was a lot of wonderful knowledge there that you just gave us. And also, I mean, and someone saying, I love this term pre-vegan. Yes. And it's like a little baby that's walking, like when the little baby, we're hoping that maybe the baby can go to high school, let's just say, or the goal, college, right? So what are the steps to that, right? Are we going to be screaming and cussing at the little baby on the way when he falls down and he doesn't make the decision if the goal is college, right? Or are we going to treat the baby with care? Are we going to be educators and guiders, right? And so we can let go of them, the baby, saying at first grade, okay, now you're going to apply to college next year, so you better get in, right? Not letting the baby have that journey. And it's the same thing when we let other people have that journey. We don't have to hate them. And so I say, I allow you to be on your journey. And, my choice is hurry it up, but hurry the hell up. But I'm not going to, but that's not my right to do that. Right. And so how do we get from that? People get mad at me when I say, well, it's a journey that they're on. I try to say that in a very kind way. This is their journey. And they say, we need them to change now. How can you say that they're on a journey? So can you address those people that are very angry at me? Help
me. Oh my God. Okay. First of all, leave the woman alone and focus on your activism. First of all. That's with a pinch of joy and joking. So what I think is, I'm hearing people in the background. Did somebody enjoy that?
No, it's like our voices in the
And
background.
I so
Oh,
appreciate your willingness and
What is
your
it?
presence to be here. And yeah,
what
There's
is
nobody
that?
here.
and your commitment to yourself
Let's,
to be here. And
I don't know. No
so
one's
thank
here.
you again.
Do you hear these voices though?
Do
Oh
you?
So
my
today's
God.
our first session. Um,
Today's our first session. This
yeah,
is really weird.
what a
Oh my God. We're getting like somebody. Okay,
Well, I
they're
just shut
gone.
down my thing. Okay, I shut something down in the
Good.
background. That might have been something automatic that was playing. Oh
That
my
was really interesting. I thought we are going to be like a witness to a session or something. Interesting. Anyway, back to addressing those people that attack you for telling or saying that others are on a journey. Now,
Yeah.
listen, there's a part of me that also doesn't like to hear that. And I know that there's a part of Marquita that also doesn't like to say that. The thing is, though, it is just the truth. Like, it is just the truth that people are on their journey and they are having things in their mind. People are having problems. People are going through things. They are occupied with sometimes important, sometimes less important things, right? And in our perspective, now knowing and having made the connection of every meal that we eat with an animal produce is connected to any kind of suffering or harm done to that animal in whatever way, close or far, we made these connections. That's why we're vegan. Some people are just very preoccupied with making other connections, and some of these connections need to be made for them to get to the point where they're like, oh my God, I fucking get it now. Oh, and some take longer. So the real question is, what can you do to, first of all, not fuck up their journey, and second of all, speed it up? Like, I think those are the two interesting questions. Like, if you want to face some stranger on the street and tell them to go vegan right away, and if you find the magic words, gosh, share them all over the internet. We need to know that, you know? Like, no activist has ever found that magical sentence that made people like from 0 to 100. And I hear that a lot of people say that they went vegan from 0 to 100, and I just don't believe it. Like, I just don't believe it. Like, your mind has made some steps. Maybe they were fast, 3, 4 steps, or maybe they were 1,000 steps until you made that switch. I don't believe that. So stop lying if you think you went from 0 to 100. I don't dig
Oh
it.
my gosh, that's a great point. I love that. I love that. You're right. Because people do say, people, I see people saying all the time, it was easy, right? But there was the process before that that got them to, and then click, right? And then, yeah, at that point it was easy. What about back then when you were on the journey? Was it easy then, right? And so it's very easy to say that to other people. Oh, it's easy, just do it. Anyway, I interrupted you, but go ahead.
No, great. Like, I obviously we can both relate very much to that. I'm sure we're not the only ones out there. So the real question is, how can we create growth for them, right? And first of all, it's not something we have to do much for. That's the first thing that I want us to understand, because now maybe listeners are like, oh my God, now that I have to become a better communicator. Now I have to learn this and that. Now I have to become better at this and that. No, you really don't. You just gotta like chill yourself out more. Doesn't mean you have to engage less in activism. It simply means tweak that energy. Tweak that energy. It starts with your energy, and your energy is connected to your mind, to your feeling, how you're feeling in your body, how you're feeling home in your body. And with feeling home in the body, a sense of confidence and calm happens. And that's, in my perspective, what inspires people faster. It makes them more receptive to what you have to say. And what we have to say as vegans is just damn fucking important. So we better work on our confidence and our calm and our inner balance so that we can, like, kind of be in the moment more with them and choose those right words intuitively. It's an intuitive process. Very often you're choosing the right way. If you're calm and balanced, you're saying things and you sound like a guru. Like, I'm 26, you introduce me like a wise man. I'm like, thank you. I received that. But at the same time, I'm like, just get yourself calm, get yourself balanced. And then the things you're going to say are just going to be so much more impactful. That's what I, so far in my life journey and in my vegan journey as an activist, have discovered when I zoom in on the conversational, the interactional, and the energetical aspects of being a vegan and an activist, right? I think that's how we can create faster impact.
You're right. I mean,
Elevate that journey for others. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the power. We've got tremendous power. And I remember what my old coach used to tell me, like, you can't speed up a broken leg from healing, but you can slow it down. So like if you see someone on the journey, maybe they're really thinking about it, and then you attack them, then okay, maybe now you've set them back. But even I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who's not vegan, but he said, if someone came up to me and started, really harassing me or being hateful to me about being vegan, it would really make me not want to be vegan. And I thought, well, I can understand that, and I hate to hear it, but and that's why we've got to get this message out, right? That we've got to get above that level of hatred. It's not, I mean, we're at a different level of consciousness if we're just being angry, right? What's something greater? Because what's beneath the anger? Sadness. And to honor the sadness that we feel when and recognize it when we see other people eating meat or whatever, or whatever thing they're doing that's triggering that anger. Really, it's taking time to send ourselves love and to really honor those feelings, and knowing that that feeling of anger, which is really sadness, is showing how compassionate we are, and stepping back into that and really giving thanks that we can see and that we are awakened, and that they can be awakened too if we honor the process that they're on, and asking questions like you do in We the Free. That's really important, is to find out where they are, what they want to know, and if they want to know. So tell me about that, about what is We the Free, and also tell me about just an example of a day, how it goes for you, because I'd love to hear more about that, and how you handle without being, attacking, how you have conversations that are fruitful with people, that plant seeds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, first things first. I support We the Free and I engage in their activism events, yet I'm not a co-facilitator or co-organizer. So just want to make sure that that's out there. I have this shirt on today because duh, it's an amazing organization. And I'm happy to be a supporter and an activist that stands with them as a collective, but also as an individual. And then to your second question, which was how does a day for me look like, right? Okay, so a day in the life of June. let's pick a day where I'm not only surfing, because those exist sometimes as well. Hardly ever though. So when I have a day where I consciously interact with people on veganism, it is a day where I start my day, and I actually start all of my days with a moment of balancing. Sometimes that's 30 minutes, sometimes that's 2 hours. It really depends on what do I need. And I have a routine which I've worked on quite hard to get it firm. It's a 3 to 5 step routine. It really depends on where I'm at. I've done it for 2 years firm as a 5-step routine. And now I'm a bit more intuitive with it, because I'm at a place now where I know that I can access these practices fast. It contains of meditation, breath work, movement practice, journaling practice, and something that's very underestimated but simple: hydration, drinking enough. So these are like the 5 things I do in almost every morning. Sometimes it's just meditation, breath work, and movement. Like those 3 are just non-negotiable. And they set me up with such a calm that I can go through the day and have this intention of, like, if a conversation comes up, if I sit at lunch in a restaurant and somebody starts talking to me or I start talking to them, if I'm out there in the water surfing and a conversation happens and somebody figures out I'm vegan, I have the calm balance to engage with them from a point of view, as we talked about, to see them where they're at and to say exactly those things that they might need to hear in order to understand, oh, this person actually, it's like the same kind of thoughts that I'm having. They're just living them a bit differently. Oh, this might be something I have to look into too. If not, I'm a hypocrite. Like these thoughts might enter their mind when I engage with them like that. So when it comes to what I'd call working, not on my inner world, but as a coach and as a mentor, I do engage on social medias a lot. Facebook is the main platform that I use, and I also engage in activism groups a lot, which means I share content in there that talks about what we're talking about, and I share tips and insights on how we can set ourselves up in that balanced space, elevate our confidence, and come into deeper self-love and self-acceptance. Right? So I view that as a part of my activism as well, because I know that every activist who is elevated, let's call it an elevated activist, has more potential to reach more people, to create more impact, to save more lives, right? That's the end goal. Yeah, and when I engage in an activism event, I think this might be really important for our listeners. When I know that I'm going to go to a street outreach, or here in Bali, we do beach outreach because more people on the beach sunset hours than on the streets, right? So we do beach outreach, and we do it with the screens, similar to the Cube of Truth by Anonymous for the Voiceless. It's a similar concept. And so when I do that, there's something very specific that I do before. And it's a similar thing that I do in the morning. It's just a calm moment for myself, and apply a practice that really helps me to be set up, to be resilient, and to be patient, and to make elevated decisions. Like to engage in conversations that I know or that I can feel, because when I'm calm, I can feel that they will lead somewhere where this person might leave and go vegetarian tomorrow and vegan in a year. When I feel that, I'm like, okay, let's put the effort in there. But when I feel that there's somebody who is like completely blocked off, I'm not gonna, I'd rather say, hey, thanks for your time after 2 minutes or something. I'll engage with you next time. But in order to do that, I got to set some clear intentions before. And I think that's what a lot of people that are activists are not doing. And I've created a course which is called The Art of Conscious Relating. It's more about relationships, but everything is a relationship, right? From me to you, from me to everything, it's a relationship. And in there, I have a module that's called Intentional Connecting. And the core of that module is to get clarity over your intentions before you connect. And if your intention is unclear before you go into a conversation or something that can be heated, like vegan activism, like street outreach, you most likely are going to feel drained. You're possibly not going to have the impact you want to have. And you might not be a sustainable activist, because at some point you're going to burn out then. And these are things we don't need that. We need you elevated, we need you present, we need you intentional, and we need you sustainable. And with we, I'm not talking about me and Marquita, but I'm talking about the animals, right?
Exactly. And I love how you set yourself up for your day. You get ready. And that's something that a lot of us don't do. We jump up, and maybe getting ready is getting on the cell phone and checking the email, which is setting ourselves up the wrong way, right? Yeah. And so that's not you're not grounding yourself from a place of power and peacefulness and confidence. So doing that. And I love the way that you're connecting with people instead of trying to focus on what's different. You're bringing together, what is it that we have in common, and where can we go from there? Right? Like if you're surfing with someone, okay, you already have a connection. It's these relationships that when you're speaking from the heart and you're connecting from the heart is what's going to cause people to want to know more, and they're going to be more open to understanding. So yeah, what you're saying is crucial, and that your workshop, you have a lot of offers. So they're very powerful to get back to relationships. Relationships are everything. And so as vegans, when we're isolated, and that can cause us to be really angry when we shut down and we feel like, oh, I'm all here by myself. Nobody cares. And now I'm just getting mad, or, getting angrier and angrier. So it's so important to have these conversations and to respect your time. Like maybe now I realize that I'm taking on too much. I can't handle it. I'm getting more and more angry. And so to do the practices that you were saying is crucial. to tune back into yourself. I mean, because that's when we will be more effective for the animals, when we know where we stand and we can self-regulate.
Yeah, that's the word. I would love for you to also, like, do you want to share with us, like, what are some of your favorite self-regulation tools that you like to apply in your days?
I think when I'm feeling very overwhelmed, I go outside and hike. And I really specifically will try to hug a tree, touch the earth, and ground myself. Say a prayer. So I belong to Unity Church, which is, you don't even have to believe in God to go to Unity. So they're very loving. If you want to pray to the trees, that's fine. Come on out. We're here. We welcome you. So there's a little Unity prayer line that I can call, and that grounds me. It's on my phone. And reaching out to other people is important, very, very important for me. And I know that when I start to feel alone and hopeless, I start calling one of my friends, or even just trying to connect with them on social media, if that's all I can have. I mean, if that's all I can get, and let me get it, from online. I'd rather do it in person. But yeah, and the deep breathing at night when my mind is racing, right? I'll start to do the deep breathing, and then before I know it, I'm asleep. And so I know that in the daytime, I can physically feel my heart racing. So I stop and take the deep breaths. So, yeah, and I do remember that smiling releases those chemicals. And I know that every thought that I have is laying down a pathway. So, I might feel sad, but I make a conscious effort to shift my thoughts, because I know if I just stay in that loop, what's going to happen is it's just going to be building and building these pathways of the wrong thought. And then it's easy to fall into that big gutter that I've created of the wrong thoughts. And I mean, that's what's happening. These loops are taking us into these despair. And I remember, there was a podcast and it said action. I think they said Joan Baez that said it. Action is the antidote to despair, or something like that. And I thought that is so true. If we're not taking action, if we're sitting at home hopeless and isolated, right? Take action. Even if it's journaling, that's another thing that will help you. Journal. Get up in the middle of the night if you can't sleep. Don't go to the phone, but write down, this is the action I'm going to take tomorrow. I'm going to write my congressman, or I'm going to, write parliament, or I'm going to say I'm going to run for Congress, right? This is what's going to happen. Write it down, and you're releasing it. When you write it down, it releases. So there's a lot of good tricks or whatever you want to call them. I mean, these are scientifically proven facts, and the mindfulness and everything. It's changing your brain. So, yeah, and the more you work on yourself, the more you're going to be able to self-regulate and bring yourself back to that calm. And that's where our power lies, in the calmness.
Amen to that. Amen. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Today I was just piggybacking on piggybacking. That's the word, on what you just said today. I've reviewed an interview that I did with one of my clients. She's a vegan politician from Australia, and I've reviewed it, and she said something so beautiful, and I'd love to read it out. I've put it on my website today, and I've put it as a testimonial, but just because it really touched me. And I asked her, do you remember when we first met? And we met online, I didn't meet her in person, but what your first thoughts were. And then she further down the road, just a couple of weeks later, enrolled in my 12-week group coaching program, which is called Become Your Medicine. And that's the most beautiful creation I've ever put out there. And I'm still running it, right? It's an ongoing program. And so she said, we initially engaged on social media, and I was just feeling drawn to your passionate and charismatic personality. Back then, I struggled with motivation, and I knew I needed to re-spark my passion and motivation as an animal rights activist. That's what made me join your program. So she knew that in her heart was beating for that, but she also was burned out a bit, and she was drained, and she was on the edge of, going into sobriety. How do you call it? Activism sobriety. No more activism. And I've been there myself as well. I've turned my back for a whole year. I've been vegan almost 5 years now, and a whole year I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And I took a whole year off. And that was also the first year where I discovered mindfulness. I traveled to Bali multiple times. I took these retreats. I took trainings in meditation, in yoga, and in mindfulness, in ecstatic dance practice, etc. Yeah. And that just, I think that's really where it's at. It's like, can you manage to be a sustainable activist, to stay happy and balanced within, but at the same time also move through with grace for yourself through these challenging moments as an activist, when somebody blames you for what they think you're doing wrong, or because they're triggered, or whatever reason they have, can we move through that with the resilience and our elevated self, and be like, hey, look, I love you because you're going to be vegan at some point.
That's a beautiful, yeah, that's powerful. I love you because you're going to be vegan at some point. Yes, that's very inspiring. And then we don't have to be angry, right? We have to be gentle. So, yeah. So we're getting close at the end. So I want you to say whatever you want to say, but I want to know about your this group coaching, and tell us about your programs. Is that is it a certain amount of time, like where it starts here, or is it always ongoing?
The beauty of it is it's always ongoing.
Okay.
I've managed, with the help of a new mentor that I am working with, to set up a structure that allows anybody to enroll anytime. And the way it's set up is that there are 4 foundational pillars of the program. The first one is recorded modules, which are 9 modules, and they teach foundational mental health and mindfulness skills, from breathwork to meditation to conscious relating to journaling to integration, how to integrate habits into your day. So it's like 9 modules of foundation. And then we have the second layer, which is a community access. It's a private Facebook group where only people that have enrolled in the program get access to. And that's where we discuss, that's where questions can be asked. And in the Facebook group, by the way, the modules are also available. So you access a Facebook group, you have modules in the Facebook group, you have access to the community and to me as your mentor. And then the third out of 4 is integration practices. So I have a set of audio files and PDFs. Most of them are audio files, because I think the most important thing is you put things in your ear, you close your eyes, you do the practice. So I have meditation audio files, I have breathwork audio files, and I have movement audio files as a third pillar in this program. And you can buy that program only with those 3 pillars, which is like the basic version. But if you really want to be a full part of it, the 4th element of it is weekly live group calls, where you access a Zoom room with me and with all the other participants, and we're deepening the practices. We're doing them together in deeper variations. We're diving into subconscious work. And if there's questions coming up around elevated activism, about elevating your impact as a vegan in the world, we discuss those in those live group calls. So the program is called Become Your Medicine, because that's what you're doing in there. You're learning to become your own medicine. And it's only for vegans and activists. I used to run it before for a wider range of people, but at this moment in time, and I think that's going to be forever, it's only for vegans and activists. Yeah. So that's my main offer. And I'm just so in love with it. I'm so in love with like guiding those people through these sessions, with letting them receive just those recorded modules. Just last week, another person enrolled, and she starts with the basic package, like the modules, the community access, and the integration practices. And at some point later on, she intends to join the live calls. So then she can just pay herself access to the live calls as well. That's the flexibility. You can buy the whole thing at once. You can have the basic one and then later join the live calls if you want that. If not, if you're set up with the basic modules, then that's okay as well. That works for you. And it brings me so much joy, because it like ticks all the boxes. It's like, I'm helping my own community, check. By helping my own community, I'm helping other people become vegan, check. I'm helping the animals through that, check. And also I'm being able to pay rent and food from it, check, so I can invest most of my energy and time into it. So it feels like a very holistic zone of growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. So where can people find you? And so, wait, let me ask you one more question. Are you doing one-on-one coaching also, or just the group?
The group has priority.
Uh-huh.
Very, very selective. I choose one-on-one mentorship or like coaches. But I'm very selective and I'm pricey because my one-on-one attention can really shift things in your life big time. So the one-on-one coaching I can offer on request, but it's come to my awareness as well that a lot of the things that we look at in the one-on-one coaching, especially when I start working with people, are already answered and taught in the group coaching program, which is cheaper, right? So I'd rather recommend anybody to do the group coaching program first. And if you've educated from that at some point, you know, when you walk through the modules, when you've had your fair share of live calls and I've gotten to know somebody, then we can take it the next level step and go into one-on-one. But beginning is group coaching.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, group
Yeah.
coaching is amazing. So yes, I know I've been in those powerful places, and that's what I'm starting soon is the group coaching. So, and so now, where can they find you? We want everybody to find you and sign up.
Yeah, well, I'm picky with my clients. So if you're vegan and you're an activist, you're very close to being selected, you know? Like I see the people I work with not as, oh, I want your money. Like I don't do that anymore. I used to be horny and in need for the money. I'm happy to not be there anymore. So I am in a position where I only want to work with the people where I really know that they're going to make the shifts that I promise and sell them. So you can find this program on my website. I will leave the link for you here. I think I can do that in the comment. Can I do
Afterwards,
that?
I think you can go back and do
Yeah,
it.
I'll go back and put it in the comments. So on my website, I have a sum up about me. I have a link to sign up to my newsletter, and I have the link to my group coaching program. It's very simple. I'm going to leave you with the link to the group coaching program. And of course, I'm on Facebook. If you don't find your way onto my website, if you struggle to find this program, just send me a DM. Like, I'm human. Like, send me a DM. Send me a DM on Facebook. You could do that on Instagram as well. My name on both platforms is Jun Fuchs, JUNFUCHS. Yeah, as simple as that. Facebook or Instagram. I'll leave you the link to the website of the program where all the details are.
Great. And then you're on YouTube. I mean, I've seen you on YouTube.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm on YouTube. I signed up to TikTok recently. I'm not really understanding it so far, but I'm like, whatever, let's give it a shot. Yeah, I upload most of the content I share on Facebook also to YouTube. So the main interaction I'm having on Facebook, inside my group and on my profile, I will leave the link to my Facebook group as well. I know that some of you which are in Marquita's groups are in my group and vice versa. So just tune in on both groups so you get the best of both worlds. And everything that's in my Facebook group is also on my YouTube channel, or most of it. And everything or most of that's what's on my Facebook and YouTube is also on Instagram. So you can follow all these channels, but in the end, you'll receive the same thing, you know, like the same lessons, the same videos, the same live streams, etc. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all your wisdom, and thank you for, gosh, the energy. I feel charged, and I hope you're going to be able to sleep.
I am.
I'm sure
I've
you
got my
will.
practice.
I know, huh? I was thinking, wait a minute, here we go to the breath, right? So yes, definitely. And thanks everybody for watching. This has been a beautiful, peaceful experience, and I feel empowered and confidence and grace to go out there and speak with eloquence now. So thank you so much, Jun.
Speak with eloquence. Keep inspiring, my love. And I want to thank you so much for having me this live stream. Bless you. Bless the work you do, and bless everybody who is following us and being inspired. And maybe soon, hopefully, will be open to work with us if that's on your path.
Definitely.
Much love.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.